Everyone's already seen videos and unboxings, but there is the front of the UHQR box. I am in the camp where I think this is overkill, kind of an antiquated look, if you ask me. Um, Information there on the back cover of the box. You pull the box out, and all of the kind of promotional material and extras are. I think the most popular videos that I put out this year were the 3 Steely Dan vinyl guide videos that I did way back in, I think it was in February. I'm going to drop a link to the first one of those. But yeah, they had tons of views, and I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised. It was fun to watch the engagement, tons of comments as well, and a lot of compliments. So thanks everybody who did chime in and watch those videos. If you haven't watched them, check them out. I put a bunch of research and time into those, and I am pretty proud of those. So, when the news was announced that Analog Productions was going to be releasing the first run of Steely Dan albums all the way up and through Gaucho as UHQR double 45 RPM albums on the Clarity vinyl with the box and the whole shebang. I was really torn because the price point is $150 per release. And also we had news that eventually we think when and if these UHQRs all sell out, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, Chad has mentioned that they would then do a release of just double 45 RPM albums on standard black vinyl. I have the two most recent Steely Dan, the final two Steely Dan studio releases, Everything Must Go and Two Against Nature, and they are outstanding. They are better than the Record Store Day releases, which came out the previous year. They're amazing. I love the Stoughton heavy-duty covers, the glossy look of those covers, and the recordings sound absolutely amazing. So I originally thought, and I'm still of that thinking, that I'm going to hold out for the most part and wait for those double 45 RPMs on standard black vinyl to be released. It is tough to wait that long. FOMO is a real thing, and it happens. The first UHQR release has come and gone, although I think copies are still available of Can't Buy a Thrill. I decided to skip that one. I have two ABC Black Label early first pressings that I think sound amazing. They're both luckily almost noise free, so I decided I was gonna hold out and skip Can't Buy a Thrill. Now, I had a harder time with Countdown to Ecstasy. Countdown to Ecstasy is one of my favorite Steely Dan albums. I go back and forth between Countdown and Gaucho as my favorites of the catalog. Although I do love the Royal Scam, I think Pretzel Logic and Asia are momentous recordings as well. I'm a very, very, very torn Steely Dan fan. It's hard to choose a favorite. But back to Countdown. So Countdown was their second album, released in 1973. It was mainly recorded at the Village Recorders in West LA. And, at that point in time, Steely Dan, they were touring off of the success of Can't Buy a Thrill. And they were a five-piece band at that point in time. We had Jim Hodder on drums, Becker on bass, Fagan keyboards, lead vocals, Jeff Skunk Baxter rhythm and lead guitar, and also incredibly fantastic pedal steel, which was demonstrated all over this album. And then the great Denny Diaz, rhythm and lead guitar as well. So Denny and Jeff, they shined together and alone on various songs on this album. If we look at Bada Vista, the lead track, Denny Diaz has that kind of foreboding guitar signature that's going in the beginning of the song before Jeff Baxter finishes with the incredible solos that are kind of competing for attention with the keyboard riffs and runs. It is an amazing song, and it really, really does shine on this pressing. One thing I really noticed on Bada Vista specifically was the clarity of the piano run near the beginning of the song, and then the long decay of the final piano note at the end of the song after Jeff Baxter's solo. It's the best I have ever heard, Bada Vista. Now, I also have a very early first pressing of Countdown to Ecstasy, the black ABC label. It's packed away, so I haven't heard that in a while. But when this thing arrived, I had to kind of put it through its paces. I've listened to this recording now and pressing several times, and I can say unequivocally now that this is the best I have heard this album. Apparently, Bernie Grundman and Chad Kassem, they're working in tandem. Bernie would finish a cut. Chad will listen to it, probably other people as well. And I think there is up to 5 recuts that happened on different sides of this album. So they were very, very fastidious. They were very, very committed to trying to beat the original mastered version that was done by Doug Sachs at the Mastering Lab. Now, I have some other notes. The reason I love this album, again, is it's a full band effort. Before a lot of the session players were brought in, there are a couple huge session players of note on this song, though. If we talk about Razor Boy, Razor Boy is a weird kind of a bossa nova, Brazilian flavored folk country song. It's an amalgamation of awesomeness. It's one of my favorite Steely Dan songs. And they brought in the great jazz giant Ray Brown, who played bass on the song. Victor Feldman is playing those very, very, very distinctive vibes throughout the song. We have an incredible interweaving pedal steel solo by Jeff Skunk Baxter. This song sounds amazing. Also of note, in the very kind of first third of this song, there are some very, very distinctive triangle hits that you will hear in the right channel. And I have never heard those things as prominently or as clearly on this pressing. So it's interesting. The soundstage on this is very, very wide, and it's definitely an audiophile recording. You can just tell, and you can pick up things in the left and in the right channel. Another song that shines, and one of my favorite songs on the album, is the Boston Rag. And I love the kind of slow burn that this song kind of undertakes and ensues. It starts with Denny Diaz with kind of a foreboding kind of guitar signature that he's doing. in the beginning of the song before eventually giving way to a burning, amazing guitar solo by Jeff Baxter again. Jeff Baxter had many shining moments with Steely Dan throughout his history with the band on those earlier albums, but three of those biggest moments are happening on this album, and those would be the incredible second solo as part of Bada Vista, the soloing on the Boston Rag, the pedal steel, amazing pedal steel on Razor Boy, and then finally the staccato burst of soloing and just kind of berserk tone that he has on My Old School. Jeff Baxter, when he wasn't touring or recording, had a day job at that point in time, working somewhere in the valley at a guitar shop. And the afternoon of the session for My Old School, he had finished modding a Strat, and supposedly he had just finished with the electronics in the guts of the guitar. He had added a bird's eye maple veneer, and told Donald Fagen that he had come up with something for that song My Old School, and they let him basically have at it. I think it was done in a take or two. The guitar solo is simply amazing. It has never sounded better than on this UHQR pressing. There's a look at that quality record pressings, inner sleeve, that you get two of those with both of these Clarity vinyl records. A big bummer for me is that they didn't have the rights to put the original ABC labels on these records. I think that's kind of it's too bad. We just have these plain Geffen, which I guess holds the licensing rights now. So it's got to be a Geffen label, but kind of bummed that we don't get those original black, beautiful ABC labels. One of the definite highlights of these releases is the fact that Donald Fagen is supplying brand new, fresh liner notes. This is what that looks like, and you get a kind of a reproduction of the cover art, some photos of the original master tapes, which is definitely a nice touch, and then you get Fagen's liner notes. Now, the liner notes are not as extensive as what he and Walter did back in 1998, 1999, when they released the entire remastered catalog on CD. Those liner notes were amazing, but these are also very, very nice. Fagen is a funny guy, and anytime I can read anything, any prose, anything that he has written, it's a pleasure. And of course, we've got the very, very beautiful glossy Stoughton cover, real heavy duty. A look at that gatefold right there. All the lyrics for all the songs. Love the reproduction of the artwork. Kind of the little touches with the ashtray, the colorization of the ashtray on the back, similar to the original. But this is a gorgeous jacket. So my verdict is congratulations to Chad Kassem, Analog Productions, Acoustic Sounds, Bernie Grundman. This is an amazing recording, an amazing job of remastering this album from the original master tapes. I've never heard this album sound better. I am still going to most likely hold out for most of these titles and wait for the standard double 45 on black vinyl. Hopefully those will be coming out in a year or so down the road. I am going to have a very difficult time, though, not springing for Gaucho. I'm probably going to have to get Gaucho in the UHQR format as well. That's it for today. Be back very soon with another video. This has been my kind of review and unveiling of my thoughts about the Steely Dan UHQR series, and specifically the fantastic release of Countdown to Ecstasy, the 1973 second Steely Dan album.